Committee together. I am Paul DeZiel from District 3 and am the new chair after Jim Weber exited last month. So first on the agenda this evening, we have the approval of minutes from the November 8th, 2021 Public Works Committee meeting.
I'll make the motion to approve as they were presented.
I will second. Any discussion?
They looked good to me.
All right, all in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries for the minutes. Comments and suggestions from citizens present. I'm not sure. I don't think we have anybody online today. So we will be moving past that piece. New business, discussion and possible action regarding traffic flow at 11th Street and Cooley Road intersection.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah, before we get to that, I think Mike needs a checkout early.
Oh, I forgot.
So,
we're going to juggle.
yeah.
Right? Sorry.
Yeah.
Mike, I apologize. I forgot that. Sorry. So you wanted to juggle to the updates, right?
Yeah, could we please?
Yep, we'll do. We'll go to the updates first. Thanks.
Okay. So Dean, I'll tackle my two,
Yep.
and then I'll probably jump off, and you can handle the rest of the agenda. So
Sounds great.
first one on there, I believe, was the 2021 storm update. So I submitted the reimbursements to our state insurance for things like dumpsters, that type of stuff. So that will be reimbursed here after they process that back from our state insurance. The library project is going to be bid out in January. So that'll be coming to council probably early February for approval. Once the contracts get signed, it'll probably be until mid-March before the project actually gets going. So we have been in contact with the library and the staff down there, and they are going to look at opening up the facility with restricting some access to certain areas, especially the children's area, for adults to come in and still continue to check out books. So the ball's kind of in their court as far as their comfort level. It's been cleared by myself, David Gray, and our insurance company to go ahead and do that. So the ball's in their court as far as when they want to open that up. Then the other thing on the 2021 storm that I just want to touch base on is the tree count. So I actually got a physical count from the urban forestry lead, Gail Brzezinski. We lost 71 trees, public trees in the city of Hudson. So you could probably double that when you come to public trees. So probably looking at anywhere between 140 to 175 trees total that were lost during the storm. So quite significant amount, obviously. But that's kind of the update I have on that, Paul. I don't know if you have any questions that you want answered directly.
No, I was just trying to kind of see where we're at. So it sounds like we have to hear back from insurance, right? Library is kind of soon to be open, but it's up to their board to kind of determine that. And then the tree piece is do we have any thoughts on replacing those trees, or is that something we look at down the road, or?
Yeah, so we'll have to put a plan together and systematically replace them. Obviously, some of the trees weren't planted in the greatest location, so we might nix them all together. But we don't have the gravel bed this year because of the well going down, so it might be until 2023 before we do a larger scale planting operation, replace the majority of those public trees. The ones in the park, with the bolt launch reconstruction moving forward, we have a number of trees that need to be transplanted from the south end of the park. And I was kind of struggling to find spots to put them. Well, now I have a bunch of spots to put them on the north end of the park. So the plan is to, in the spring, transplant a bunch of those trees that will be impacted with the expansion and move them up to the north end of Lakefront Park around the band shell and take place of a lot of those trees that did come down during the storm. So
That's a great idea.
yeah, that's the plan. Like I said, the larger project, like I said, is going to be bid out in January, which includes obviously the library, the bathhouse, and some of the railing components along First Street, the band shell. So that'll be all kind of one package, which will come to council, like I said, in February, with project starting March.
Just one quick question about the trees. I know with us being a tree city, we have to, for every one down, we have to replace it with one. Is that just on the public property, or does that also include the private ones that you are estimating down?
So the Tree City designation doesn't require you to meet any quotas other than expenditures. For our city our size, we have to spend X amount of dollars on urban forestry initiatives, whether that's tree planting, tree maintenance, pruning, that type of thing. So it doesn't have to be a 1-to-1 ratio. And then it doesn't go over to the private side. So I don't include any private trees in our submission to be a tree city.
That's good to know. I've been misinformed, so thank you for that clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then the second update I have is the winter maintenance. Obviously, with the snowstorm that we had on Friday, our crews were out. They were out till 10 o'clock on Friday night, and then came back in at 2:30 on Saturday. We're here till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So another 12-hour shift on Saturday. I had sent the council and the mayor and Aaron and kind of an update as far as where we're at for the week. Crew will be in tomorrow morning, removing the snow downtown. We did try to get a couple other private haulers to come in and help us, but nobody's available just because everybody's so busy. So we're going to use our trucks to move snow, primarily downtown. So our hope is to get all downtown done with just our equipment. The 3 extra trucks do help just because it's just extra trucks to put snow in and haul, So we're gonna try our best to get downtown done tomorrow, and then we're gonna move out to around the high school, Willow Elementary School, underneath the railroad trestle, and then after that's done, then we'll move out to the cul-de-sacs and start kind of tackling some of that in parking lots. So it's gonna be a busy week for the staff. Obviously, just getting snow removed from areas. 16 inches is a lot of snow in one snowfall. It's, like I said, it's probably one of the largest snowfalls that we've had in the last 10 years, the city of Hudson. So the guys did a great job keeping the streets open, and so emergency vehicles could get around if they needed to. But I don't want to see another 16-inch snowfall for the rest of my time here.
Yeah, well said. Thanks to you and your crew, Mike, for all that intense labor in the first big snowfall. So makes it doubly hard, I bet. So
yeah, and I know that you just driving around town today, there's a lot of residents that haven't shoveled their sidewalks. So probably on Wednesday, I'll go out and I'll start kind of flagging some of those residents, just reminding them of the ordinance that states that they have to have their sidewalk clear, so we can keep the pedestrian access open. Took a couple phone calls today about people not being able to do so, whether they're elderly or disabled, and there's, trying to direct them in areas where they can find assistance. So just to let you know, I'll be doing that here shortly as well, because I did notice quite a few that haven't been shoveled yet.
Okay. My other question, Mike, is do we have enough supplies for like salt and whatnot for the rest of the winter?
So actually early last week, we did take advantage of the early fill salt allotment, and we had 150 tons of salt come to our facility, which put us at about 500 tons of salt to start the season. So after this weekend's storm, we probably used 200 of that already. So we did place an order today to kind of restock our supply. We're allotted. So our early fill was 150 ton. For the whole season, we reserved 1,200 ton of salt. We have to take that, and then on the back end, we have a overflow or overstock of another 200 ton if we need it towards the end of the season. So for the entire season, we have 1,550 ton of salts that we have available to us. So we have plenty of material, especially seeing that it was such a quiet fall. We didn't have a huge ice storm like we had last year. We actually had 2 of them last year that really burned up a lot of our stock at the beginning of the season. This year, we didn't really have that problem. We're already through December, and we're sitting really, really good. So,
okay.
All right.
Yeah, please give your crew a huge thank you. I thought they did a nice job with what Mother Nature gave to us.
For sure.
All right, we'll do. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. Have a great rest of the meeting, everyone.
Yep, thanks.
Happy holidays. Yep.
You too.
bye.
Hey, Dean, did you want to do your updates now, or do you want to jump back to the?
Yeah, I'm about to do it now. I saw
Okay.
Mary Claire hopped on, and I know she was here for kind of my update on the long-term infrastructure stuff. So just to value her time for sure. So I intended to have this as a regular agenda item tonight, but it got essentially postponed because some other city staff wanted to have some more information regarding financing for some potential options for long-term infrastructure. So this whole discussion was something that was brought up at the essentially the business community meetings for the transportation utility presentation, and there's a lot of great feedback, and Mary Claire can vouch for that as to the transportation utility and kind of a connection to long-term, what's the plan, I guess, for the city and moving forward with infrastructure maintenance and whatnot. It's kind of the comment was it's kind of hard to support this additional funding without knowing it's going towards a plan that is going to help us, meet our goals and that kind of thing. So I definitely thought that was a great comment, and so kind of trying to tie this in with that larger discussion regarding the transportation utility and infrastructure maintenance. So I am going to be running some more, essentially crunching some more numbers and getting them into a report to present to you guys and then to City Council, and tie that in with both the upcoming additional presentations for the transportation utility, and then also, with the eventual decision on which way we're going with infrastructure funding in the future. So you have any questions about that or anything right now?
Sarah, did you have any comment?
I was just gonna ask, so Dean, was there another business meeting? I know the one that Mary Claire and I were at, but I'm not sure what one we were referring to.
Yeah, yep. So there was essentially the On the Hill business meeting.
Okay.
That's where this came from. So that was probably a week or so after we met at City Council chambers. Yep.
So Dean, if I'm hearing you right, you're saying we need to develop a long-term plan first, and then we need to figure out the funding, how that's going to be funded.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a chicken and egg thing, because you kind of which comes first, the long-term plan for how to get out of this hole we're in, or the kind of pieces that go into potential funding of that plan. And I guess to square that circle, it kind of is I think going together, so to speak. So bringing us all together as a package so that everybody, the community and you as City Council members, are fully informed of what where this money is going and how it can be, accomplishing the goals that we have as a city for taking care of our infrastructure. So, and also part of this would be defining the goals of what we're trying to accomplish with our city's infrastructure, which is also, something that I feel is a good comment. What are the goals? What's the framework of what we're doing for investing in infrastructure? There's some comments about wanting to make sure that, if we are contributing more to our infrastructure, that it is going towards, higher volume streets first, or, making sure it's, most bang for your buck kind of thing, rather than, spending $1 million reconstructing 2 cul-de-sacs or something like that first, something like that. So people are assured that their money is being used in good ways. So, yeah, like I said, I thought those are very legitimate questions and points. And I think that would be good to wrap into our further discussions with staff and council. So,
okay.
When
Sounds good.
When are you hoping to have this ready? And I'm sorry if you said that and I missed it.
Oh, sometime in January, I think, once we get this funding kind of piece put into report that I put together. I'll be bringing this back to Public Works Committee in January, and then having those additional meetings as we discussed at council, I believe about a month ago. And then after that, kind of moving forward with the decision on whether to move forward with transportation utility wheel tax or not, or what we want to move forward with there. So at this point in time, I haven't really, discussed this too much further, but, given COVID and given the time that it takes to, get something like this up and running, if we do decide, as the city council, I should say, decides to move forward with adopting this transportation utility, we're probably looking at late 22, or we could just set, 2023, January 1st, 2023 as like the starting date or something for this kind of thing too. So that's not, set in stone, but it'd be something that probably would be a realistic starting point for this. So.
And this is over and above the CIP, because don't we have that list of, we know those priority streets right now, right? We have that list of.
Yeah, we have $1.2 million or so in the CIP for 2022 already. And that, is there regardless of what we do. This would be over and above that. And obviously, as I've said before, the $1.2 million or, kind of that's pretty approximate to the average we spent in the past 5 or so years on our infrastructure. And that, is definitely not keeping up with what needs are that we have in our community. So if we did, I probably will also be coming back to council and asking even for 2022 while we're, implementing something or figuring something out, potentially asking for some additional bonding or something for 2022, just so we can make sure we're not, slipping further behind as much as possible. The sooner the better as far as this stuff goes. We've got some streets that really need some help. So
something for us to maybe just be mindful is that, and I'm sure most of us here know that the school district is looking at some big changes too. So this could all kind of be going down the pipeline around the same time.
Yeah. That's the unfortunate reality is that we're not the only ones thinking of something. There's the county has their things going on, the school district. Obviously, we're not alone in this fight for funding for things. So something to be aware of as we move forward.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Okay, are we? That's good for updates, then, Dean?
Yeah, I actually just wanted to give a couple, or we'll say, a couple different updates about grant funding. We found out that we were not successful with the federal RAISE grant for Carmichael Road north of I-94 this time around, which we're kind of disappointed with, because the last time around they told us you were great, you're essentially kind of in the runner-up category for getting funded, so you should go again. And not to guarantee anything, but to say like you have a good shot at getting funded at some point in the future. And so we were like, we'll go do it. And we made some tweaks and that kind of thing. And the difference, for better or for worse, is that there's a different administration, different priorities, that came into effect kind of between those two submissions. So they decided to fund different types of projects than the one that we had. So we're gonna they provide like a follow-up debriefing kind of thing as to, like, for each of these projects, where did you guys score? What are some things that maybe you could do better? That kind of thing. I've talked with staff. We haven't, come up with a conclusion on this yet, but we're probably likely this next time around, instead of just asking for money for the planning and design of this project, to ask for money for the entire construction of the project. That's because, first of all, there's additional funds that are being infused into this project, or into this grant funding mechanism from the federal infrastructure bill. And then secondly, they only have a certain pot of money essentially that they set aside for design only projects. It's just what we had submitted before. And the pot of money is significantly larger for the actual construction of the project. So we feel that we're probably gonna go for the home run here next time around, and before that, do some legwork with, some community engagement and maybe laying some of those, some of the groundwork to be able to submit an application with some of the stuff already done, essentially to maybe subtract a few of the costs out to make us more competitive for getting the grant too. So that's that. The other grant related thing that I wanted to bring up is that the local road improvement program, I attended and was part of the committee for the county for ranking the projects that were received for grant submissions for the local road improvement program. So as you probably remember, there's a few different kind of components of that program. One is the MSI program, Municipal Street Improvement Program, which is essentially each county gets a chunk of money that they can divvy up essentially to cities and villages as the committee desires or whatever. And so with that program, we were successful in getting $28,000. So that's not nothing, which is great. And the other good news is that that's the one kind of component of the program. The other component of the program is the it's called MSID and MSIS. It's like kind of the larger projects submitted for competitive grant funding throughout the whole state. And so what happens is all the cities and villages in the county submit their projects to the committee. Then the committee ranks them 1, 2, 3, whatever, how many projects there were that came in. We submitted 2 projects, one for 3rd Street Hill for 2022 and one for Locust Street reconstruction downtown in 2024. So there were 7 projects total that were submitted in the county through cities and villages. And our projects, the 3rd Street Hill project scored number 1 and the Locust Street project scored number 3. So that's good. Now the projects go down to Madison and they have a statewide kind of selection committee for these programs. And so the MSID program funds these projects up to 50% match. So that's good. And then MSIS program funds projects up to 90% state, or I think federal, maybe money in their match. But so we'd pay 10%, they'd pay 90%, which would be awesome. So I mean, not to guarantee anything or get anybody's hopes up too much, but that's great that we scored number 1 for sure in the county. And there is extra money in that pot of money for the state this year as well, not even considering the federal infrastructure stuff that went through. So hopefully that's all good news, and hopefully we'll find out in March that we were selected for at least one of those projects for grant funding. So keep you informed.
March 1st is the date when we'll know, basically.
March sometime. I don't know if it's March 1st or what date. So hopefully by the time we have our Public Works Committee meeting in March, I would know, but who knows?
Okay.
The state sometimes moves at their own schedule. So
okay, sounds good, Dean.
Yeah.
Dean, the one grant that we didn't get at no fault of your own, are we eligible to try for it next year? Is it an annual thing?
Yep, it is an annual thing, and we are eligible for trying next year and however many years we want to do it. They do give you some feedback, like, they told me last year when we debriefed about it, like they never tell anybody, like, unless they just really don't qualify, from the guidance in the document or whatever, like you really shouldn't be applying for this. But most of the time they won't tell you not to apply, but they're kind of like, yeah, you should keep at this because, I feel you have a good project and it's just so competitive that they can only fund so many projects. So so essentially we've been encouraged in the past to apply for this. We will.
Well, good news. Thanks for, it sounds like the 28,000 for sure. And then with more possibilities in March too, with that 1st and 3rd ranked in the county.
Yep.
For the projects in the county. So good work on that, Dean. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we will jump, unless Sarah, you have comments, we'll jump to the new business discussion and possible action regarding traffic flow at 11th Street and Cooley Road intersection. So that's the Hagan Street Bridge, basically.
Mhm. Okay, 1 second here. Hey,
Just
whoever's
for Sarah, maybe this, somebody had emailed me a couple months ago, kind of asking about what they thought might be just a possibility in terms of changing some of the lane signals and whatnot, as far as making that maybe a better situation. And I brought it to Dean and to Mike just to see, have them consider and kind of give us some feedback and thoughts for tonight. So
yeah. If somebody could give me a chance to share my screen, I think that might help too. Would that be possible?
does River Channel have it? Do they?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yep, there we go.
Thank you. All right. So can you see my screen with the bridge?
Yep.
Okay, great. So yeah, as Paul said, we received a message from a citizen about this area here. I'm on Google Earth right now. I'm perched right on top of the bridge over I-94. So right now, as you are coming off of Crestview Drive is kind of behind where I'm pointed right now, and going towards, say, Taco John's here. You have the option to, if you're turning left, to go in this left-hand turn lane, which is just for left turning cars, or else if you're going straight or to the right, you'd have to go in this right-hand lane to do so. So the comment that was made was, why don't we switch around and have the straight through vehicles share the left turn lane with the left turning vehicles, and have that right turn lane be just for right turning, or right lane be just for right turning cars. And on the face of it, that's a comment that seems to make somewhat sense, because there's a lot of people turning right, kind of going towards that slip ramp to get on I-94 without having to go down Cooley to 2nd Street and then down onto the exit 1 down there. So I was looking at the traffic volumes as to, does this kind of make sense? And also just the way the signal is configured here as well. So right now, the traffic signal is what's called protected permissive setup. So that is kind of getting into the intersection here. As you can see with the picture here, you have a green arrow that comes on for left turning traffic, and you have a green ball that controls through traffic and right turning traffic. The green arrow turns yellow and then disappears once kind of the traffic clears out of the left turn lane, and then allows the traffic coming southbound to come through after that. So the reason for this setup that's out there right now is that there are a significant amount of left turning vehicles right now from people kind of coming from up on the hill and going towards the downtown area. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but it was over 100 vehicles in the PM peak hour, which is the highest volume hour of the day. There's also more people coming through northbound than you'd probably expect. There's probably about 2/3 of the amount of left turning vehicles that are, so if there's, say, 150 vehicles going left, there's probably about 100 vehicles going through as well. So it's not nobody going through there. And so in order to, if the through vehicles shared the left turning vehicle lane here, what's going to happen probably is the through vehicles are going to cause that left lane to spill over into the other lane, we'll say. Anyway, and so first of all, what's going to happen is that's going to essentially do the same thing that's out there today, where the traffic just kind of wraps around the corner into Crestview anyway. Second thing is that if the left turning vehicles are sharing the lane with the through vehicles, we can't have this arrow on anymore. You could have the arrow on, but it would have to kind of run with the green ball the entire way. It's called split phase. If you know the intersection at Carmichael and Cooley, where you have just, if you're heading kind of from exit 2 going towards Target, and you're approaching the intersection just north of 94, you will see that the left turn arrow is on the entire time the green ball is on. That's called split phase. And that's because you have a shared left turn lane and through lane for that northbound leg and that movement. So what that does is, yeah, all the left turn traffic, the through traffic, and the right turn traffic all move at the same time. It's all on at the same time. And then that completely shuts off. And then all the traffic southbound will go through after that. So that it kind of slows down, essentially makes the signal less efficient in movement. The way it's set up right now with the left turning phase kind of being able to shut off and let the opposing traffic through is a lot more efficient of a setup than the split phase. So I'm just concerned that if we switch that over, that we may be causing a bigger problem than what's out there right now. The other thing is, if we didn't do split phase and just had a green ball up there with no arrows, you'll probably see that crashes will probably go up as people are turning left and trying to time, gaps in traffic coming southbound and whatnot. People start getting risky in those kind of movements and stuff. So I'd not suggest doing that either. So I kind of feel that is imperfect as the current situation is out there right now, that it's probably the best for the operation of the intersection at this time. That being said, moving into the future, we would definitely be with this, proposed project coming up, looking to change this around so that there is a lot more smooth traffic. So if you guys want, I can also provide you an update on the future project. Is that something you'd like?
You mean for the 11th and Hagen?
Yeah. Yep.
No, I think I want to hold that because I think this is more specific just to that concern we had.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Sure. Yep, that's fine.
So really, we're not looking for any action. We just really want to get your opinion.
Yeah.
On how that works, I think.
Yeah. So I would suggest leaving it as is right now. So that'd be my suggestion.
Okay. Sarah, any comments or thoughts on that?
Sorry, nope, that makes sense.
Okay. Sounds good. I will follow up, Dean, with the person that was interested or had that question. So
yeah, I just want to say too, I appreciate it when we hear from residents, because it makes me think that people care about what's going on in their city. And I don't want to, whenever it suggests that, maybe the suggested changes are maybe not the best option, I do want to say that I appreciate hearing the feedback, and I hope people continue to do that, even if it's something I may disagree with. I think it's great to have that dialogue. So
for sure. Thanks for looking at that one for us.
Yeah.
You're sharing the screen, so I can't get to the next thing, but I think it's the retaining wall.
Yep, I just stopped sharing my screen. So
oh, sorry. Excuse me. Discussion and possible action regarding retaining wall policy updates.
Yeah, so our city attorney, Nick Vivian, had a chance to look at the retaining wall policy updates. I got an email from him this morning, just kind of confirming that he didn't have any comments on the revised policy as we discussed back in October. And the other thing is that Aaron Reeves had a comment to add some language allowing us to, if we didn't have money for replacing retaining wall during a adjacent street or construction project, giving us some flexibility to allow us not to do that at that time. So that's the only revision to the revised policy that I would suggest making, unless you guys have anything else. So,
Sarah, any thoughts on that?
I think that's going to be a hard pill for somebody to swallow if we come back and say we don't have the funds, but we've helped other people. I mean, I know we talked about how concerned we are about having the funds.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just feel like this is another imperfect solution.
Mhm.
Mhm. Did you have any questions about any of the other pieces at all? No, good. Yeah, I mean, Dina, we've been through this for, I forget how long. It's been
Wow.
a while, yeah. I mean, I thought looking through it, it makes sense to me. I think it is imperfect, but I also think it's the best you can do with some of this. There's so many questions over some of the ownership issues and
Mhm.
private property, public property. How do you make this work? I mean, I think it's a really good faith effort by the city to try to work with residents, and at the same time, make it so it's not completely unaffordable for the city too. So I think it strikes a balance, which I like. And I know there's been an enormous amount of thought and enormous amount of like looking at the details put into it. So, I guess we're looking for a motion for approval. Is that right, Dean?
That would be great, unless you had something for me to go back or.
I make the motion that we proceed with taking the ordinance to city council at the next meeting.
I would second. Is it an actual ordinance or is it a policy? I forget.
This would just be the policy. We changed the ordinance stuff when we adopted this back in February, so that it kind of allows the retaining wall policy to exist on its own. So it'd just be changing the policy.
Let me make an amendment to that then. I move that we take the retaining wall policy forward with the recommendation to pass it to the city council in January.
I would second that. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. We did updates, right? So now we are at, if there's any communication for future agendas, anything that you guys have I know Dean, you already talked about in January, maybe coming back and
Mhm.
talking a little bit more about the long-term policy or long-term infrastructure improvements.
Mhm.
So that'd be a big one, I think, for January.
Yep.
Anything, Sarah? Anything on your mind with that?
I do want us to revisit composting, but I think I'll mention it in January for February because we're supposed to talk about it in early spring. So I have nothing for the January meeting at the moment.
Sounds good. I don't have any, I think the infrastructure thing would be my number one too. So we'll kind of revisit that. All right. Anything else we're forgetting? Good.
I think so.
Want to move? I'll move to adjourn.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Dean, thanks for your work, Deb. Good to see you back too.
Great, Deb.